Hello everyone, and welcome to an update on our Project 1967 Chevelle SS 396. A decision was made to put some horsepower to this car and to make it look a little bit nicer than what it was. So the engine is apart. The short block remains in the car. Obviously the cylinder heads are off, camshaft is out. It was a small, very mild hydraulic flat tappet camshaft, and now it is going to be a hydraulic roller. As you can see, previously the cylinder heads were installed over head studs. Those are going to remain. We have a new camshaft, lifters, timing chain and gears, and a few other goodies that'll bring a bunch of horsepower to this compared to what it was. We're going to pretty it up a little bit as well. Everything will be super clean. In the pretty department, it's got a new steering box. It'll get new hoses. And here's our newly coated headers. Well, one of them anyway. That's the right side. There's an old timing chain in the upper gear. It is a double roller that was in the car, but a brand new one will be installed. Car has an MSD distributor that'll go on a machine to see exactly where it's at for an advanced curve, so then I can tune the car with a curve that is specific to this particular application. So as we go along with the camshaft install, we'll update you accordingly. There's been a bunch of other things. We rebuilt the transmission. It's a Muncie M20. Took it apart to inspect it, found that there were some things that were worn. We'll have another update showing you the specifics there. This engine is not a high compression engine. It has been previously rebuilt. It was bored, re-ringed, pistons, bearings, and again a very mild camshaft, but now it'll be a pretty aggressive hydraulic roller. There's some of the single springs and a couple valves. The locks and retainers are in there as well. And we also rebuilt and changed the gearing in the rear end. This is the old ring and pinion. This car had a 411 gear. You determine the gear ratio by counting the number of teeth on the ring gear, and in this particular case it's 37, and then you count the number of teeth that are on the pinion gear. In this case it's 9, and then you do the math where you divide the number of teeth on the ring gear by the number of teeth on the pinion. So it's going to be 37 divided by 9, and you end up with 4.11, which does mathematically come out different than a 410 gear. This pinion is marked GM 12P. There's your 411, 9 by 37. So it's 9 teeth on the pinion, 37 on the ring gear. Funny enough, this is an open differential in this car. It is not a posi rear. No clutches. Strange, but now the car is a posi. And here's a little misconception in the market. A lot of people think that this is a 12-bolt rear because there are 12 bolts that hold the differential cover on, when in reality it's because there are 12 bolts that hold the ring gear onto the differential. When we rebuilt this rear end, there were all new races, bearings, seals. We even put new axles. These have a little bit of abnormal wear where the bearing rides, and we want zero issues with what we produce here in the muscle car appraisal garage. So we got a new set of axles. And here's a quick little cool thing. Well, cool for me anyway. This bearing, made in the USA, and I think we can get the camera to zoom quite nicely. And over here it says Hyatt, H-Y-A-T-T. This is a bearing actually made in Bristol, Connecticut. The bearing plant was called New Departure Hyatt, and they made bearings for General Motors, the largest employer in the city of Bristol, and they had over 1 million square feet under one roof. It was the largest building in town. New Departure no longer exists, and now in the same town, well, actually city, the city of Bristol, the largest employer is ESPN. So you had two very large businesses that employed a very large number of people here in Bristol. So what we did with this rear was we removed obviously all those parts, and everything that you see there went in new. But we also changed the differential. This, you can't really tell too much from those numbers there, besides the fact that it was made in Taiwan. This is an Eaton Detroit True Track differential. Doesn't have any clutches in it, like an old school differential, like what you would normally see in one of those. This has parallel axis planetary helix gears. They engage quietly, and this differential is a positive traction differential, and it works just like an old school differential with clutches, but it's a new and improved design. Again, parallel axis planetary helix gears are inside this case, and when one wheel spins, it sends power to the other wheel, and both wheels will spin during your burnout and give you better traction. I can't imagine this car, big block 4-speed with a 411 gear and a one-legger, or some people call it a peg leg, just spinning that right rear tire like crazy. Well, at least now it stands a chance of hooking up and running hard. So this has been properly set up. I don't know if you can see the pattern. Not really. It doesn't have, it hasn't been in the car yet, so it doesn't have any miles on it. But what you need to do is set your pinion, which is that piece, for depth. You can see it sticks out down there. So there's a certain height from the center line of the axle to the face of that pinion. There's a specification for that. So that is set. And then this differential is riding on bearings which are underneath these two caps. And actually you can see there's a couple shims there. And then there's one really big shim here. So this differential is shimmed right to left to get that pinion to engage depth-wise within the teeth of the gear. There's many videos on YouTube as to how to do this. I'm not going to go into the highly detailed explanation, but I will tell you that this one is spot on. We don't expect this to make any humming on acceleration or deceleration, and it should be nice and quiet and provide a massive increase in traction for this car. It's going to have a good set of radials on the back, 275 60 15s on a set of Krager SS wheels. So the rear cover is going to be repainted. gloss black, installed with the new gaskets, sealed. Then we got to put the brakes on it and get it back under the car. It's going to go back under there. And that should take care of it for now. We'll be back with some transmission specifics as to what was worn on that. It's already in the car, but we have some photos of things being disassembled. And then we'll be back with some horsepower updates as the engine gets assembled. Be back soon. Thanks for watching.